This started out as a quick tutorial on Lewmar lens replacements and turned out taking me much longer. These are just photos of the old lenses compared to the new lenses. This is pretty straightforward. It's just removing all of the hardware and placing it into a bag to keep it all organized. There's a block in the center that needs to be removed. The two pins both slide inward, and there are two small washers that need to be collected at the end as well. Try to cut this fairly close to the lens itself, as it makes it easier for cleaning up the lens to make as a template. And on the bottom side, there's an old gasket that we just have to score out, and the lens just pops out fairly easily. Here you just want to clean up the lens, get the edges clean as you can, because it's going to be used as a template for routing out the new lens. The old lens here cleaned up, ready as the new template. There's no secrets here. This is just time and patience to get as much of the old silicone out of the frame as possible. This is the product that we have up here in Canada that I find works the best, along with the wire brush. Apply this fairly heavily, trying not to get any on the gasket on the bottom side. A bit of elbow grease with the wire brush, and a good rinse afterwards. I give the frame a wipe down with acetone after. .5/16 or 8 mil is the original lens, but 3/8 or 9.5 mil is all I could get my hands on. Trace a 1/4 inch or 6 mil larger than the old lens. You can get special poly or plexi jigsaw blades to make it easier to cut through the acrylic here. Centering the old and new lenses, I use shims or small blocks to protect the new lens from scratching. Set your height for the 1/2 inch flush trim router bit. This is my attempt at trying to contain some of these chips coming off of the router bit. They're very static friendly and stick to everything. The key here is really just keeping the lens flat on the router base. Swap clamps to the opposite side using a third clamp to hold everything tight. Trim up what is remaining and check to make sure that all of the edges are nice and flush. Drill these holes out in succession from smaller to larger, not using too much pressure. They do make drill bits that are specific to drill out plexiglass and acrylic. There's a locking hole that you need to drill right through on the template in order to drill out the locking hole on the new lens. Here you only need to drill in about 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. Change the router bit out to the appropriate size that fits through the hole that you just drilled. You'll need to reset the height of the router bit. I got a pack of 4 off of Amazon for this project as I wanted to make sure I had nice sharp bits for this. And clamping the lens down would have probably been a better option and most likely a safer option. Trying to be transparent here, the black mark that you can see on the protective film of the lens was caused when I accidentally ran the jigsaw through the extension cord as I was cutting it out. This gasket is 1/16 or 1.5 mil by quarter or 6 mil one-sided adhesive. Keep it tight to the inside profile of the frame. Peel off the protective film and test fit. Make sure everything lines up properly. The only silicone that I would recommend for this is the Dow 795 Black. Be cautious not to put too much in. Put in just enough to cover from the gasket to the inside of the frame. When placing in the lens, make sure that the hinge lines up with the hinge and that the locking hole is face down. Center the lens, use your shim blocks, clamp, and let it set for at least 24 hours. Tape off the lens. Use a thin, sharp blade here to make nice, clean cuts. Fill and remove the caulking with a putty knife. I find that the plastic putty knife gives me the best results, and I use the small X-Acto knife to get the tape started for removal. Pull the tape away from the caulk seam and let it set at least 48 hours. Synthetic grease only for these plastic parts. It helps to bring back the color and lube the moving pieces. butyl tape here to seal the hinge backer. Grease the pins and barrels of the hinges, and don't forget about the small washers that need to go in as well. I use a small drop of 795 on the retainer block to hold the barrels from sliding back. Grease up all your pieces to reinstall, and finding the right position for the lock handle can be a bit of a trial and error, as it only has a quarter turn and must be orientated in the correct position. Lastly, I remove the butyl tape from the hinge backer on the opposite side. And as a final note, total what I have into this is 400 Canadian dollars. And I have 11 of these hatches to do, ranging from 700 US to 1300 US. So it's been quite a process to get them all done, but well worth the savings. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. And if you decide to take on a project like this, I'm sure you'll be just as happy with yours as I am with mine.